LeBron James's remarkable 21-year All-NBA streak will end, and Luka Dončić's eligibility for postseason awards is also threatened. How will that impact the way the Lakers use him the rest of the season? We'll tell you next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, even on holidays, and now multiple times a day, even no matter how you are taking in the podcast, whether that's Apple, iTunes, Spotify, maybe you're one of the 37,000 plus subscribers to the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel. No matter how you do it, you're part of making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network anywhere you'll find. And Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, we are happy to be part of that network. We have covered the Lakers for nearly 20 years with the LA Times, with ESPN, with The Athletic, and actually longer than we've been covering the league, Andy. LeBron James has been an all-NBA performer, like in consecutive years. So probably the most interesting thing that happened, other than Victor Wembanyama exploding in the first quarter of Tuesday night's big win for San Antonio over the very shorthanded Lakers, was it meant officially, we knew this was coming, but it meant officially that LeBron James would not be able to play the 65 games required to be eligible for postseason awards, meaning that 21-year streak of all NBA honors for second, third team, whatever, comes to a close. It is a remarkable statement of his durability, of his, obviously his talent. But what's interesting about it too, we'll get into this, lost in maybe in some of that, is Luka is getting kind of close too. Luka, who is still an MVP candidate, and certainly a first team all NBA candidate. He now only has 6 games that he can miss, having missed 11 with that 65 game threshold. And Thursday's game in Dallas is still a question mark. So that actually could have some tangible impacts on how the Lakers approach the rest of the season. We'll get to that in a second. Your thoughts, though, just with this LeBron thing coming to a close.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, to put this in perspective, the streak began for the 2004-2005 season. George W. Bush was still president while that was happening. That was the year, I am pretty sure, that the first of the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan, Dark Knight trilogy of Batman came out. I'm pretty sure.
I thought you were going to say this was the year the Adam West Batman premiered.
No,
it's closer than it's close.
Doesn't quite go back that far, but again, this is an absolutely staggering achievement by LeBron to be able to maintain that type of production, that type of excellence, frankly, that type of relevance for this long of a sustained period, 21 consecutive seasons. It's like a lot of things LeBron has done over the course of his career. There is no template or not a lot of easy comps for it. It's amazing. As far as it ending this season, it felt like this was going to be pretty inevitable when he missed, the first 14 games with the preseason sciatica. Like the idea that LeBron was going to be able to avoid missing more than 3 games for the next 68 just felt both impossible and frankly a dumb goal. If it was ever there, it would have been a really stupid goal on LeBron's behalf, and LeBron is many things. Dumb ain't one of them. So you kind of knew this was going to be the case. It was just a matter of when it was officially over.
And it's cleaner, I think, too. Just because, it would have been fascinating to see if LeBron played at basically this level for the rest of the season. Would he be voted in for that or not? I mean, this way is just, it's cleaner, I think, for everyone. Nobody has to think about. It would have been very fringy, similar to the All-Star game thing. It would have been very fringy.
Well, it would have been one of those things, and I know we're going to get into it, where it would have felt more like LeBron was getting in because so many other players were ineligible. And by NBA rule, there are 3 All-NBA teams.
Right.
So
or
needs to be in
that
there.
people were voting for him because they kind of felt like a legacy thing or whatever. So
Sure.
Looking at it from Luka's standpoint, though, this is where you start to wonder like how this threshold and these awards, which are meaningful to players, which less relevant to Luka, but can be relevant for the type of contract that you can get and all this other stuff. Luka's not a guy who is notorious for sitting out games, but I think everybody appreciates a chance to be first team All NBA. Everybody appreciates a chance to be an MVP candidate, and at the very least, Luka's going to be in the top 5. If things continue the way they are. I wonder what happens when this threshold runs into what teams and players think might be the best thing for them medically. If sitting out a game, you got a guy, you're heading into the playoffs, and Luka's sitting on 60, right at a 65 game pace and is super banged up on the second night of a back-to-back, with the playoffs around the corner. Does he sit and pull himself out of that? Do the Lakers ask him to? There's a lot of interesting stuff that is potentially set up that impacts, the way that these games are going to be played that are going to come up over these last 20 something games. I don't really know. I know the league wants guys to play, but I don't necessarily know if the league wants guys who aren't healthy or healthy enough to be playing just because they want to keep themselves eligible for an award. That seems like cutting off your nose to spite your face if you're the league.
This is an extension of one of my big pet talking points in covering the Lakers and also just covering the league for the last anywhere from 5 to 10 years, maybe even a bit longer, that the whole load management catch-all, both phrase and also the way it is used to describe anything involved players missing a game for, a definitively broken leg. Like the idea that you are managing an injury, like a legit injury. The league has an injury issue right now. It has an availability issue right now. And it's not simply because players are not willing to play through discomfort the way players were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Could it be for some players or a handful of players? Sure. Although I guarantee there were players from the 70s and 80s who thought the players from the 90s and 2000s were soft. Every generation thinks that the generation that comes after them is softer than what came before them. This is the way the world works. But we're dealing right now with a league that has a legit injury problem. We have a legit problem with players not being able to perform because they shouldn't be out there. Even if they could play through something, they shouldn't be out there. And then you combine that with the salaries that a lot of these superstars are making, 40 million, 50 million, 60, creeping up on $70 million a season. These owners want to get a return on their investment. And the best return on that investment is in the playoffs. The reason you sign these stars in the first place is for the playoffs. So these owners, they're willing to sacrifice some of these regular season games. I don't care how much player empowerment, finger quotes, people want to talk about this league. These billionaires are not going to allow their athletes to sit for funsies if they really think they could be out there. And this 65 game threshold was created as a way to incentivize guys wanting to play. But I think what's being revealed is they didn't need incentivizing to play. They needed better health to play. And that's what's going on right now.
It's a little bit about, look, is the load management thing an issue? Sure. I'll say this. I think the rules that they have in place around these nationally televised games broadly are smart, and I think broadly work. There are some loopholes and things to get around it, but it's like for our big marquee marketable moments, like we need guys on the floor. Okay. And I think there's some reasonable stuff here, but I think you could do that and lose the minimum game thing. and accomplish most of what you want.
Sure.
Because it's a little like tanking. Like the incentive structure is what it is, and you can kind of try to tweak it on the margins and things like that, but it just you can't tell the Utah Jazz that it's better for them to keep winning than it is for them to keep that that pick that they lose if it's outside the top 8. Like, it's very hard to really say that. Like, you can develop your young players, you can learn how to win, you can develop a better culture. Okay. Like, those things matter, but you can also play Ace Bailey 37 minutes a game and figure out a way to lose because you sit Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, it's just like you almost always get your young guys. The league has kind of a misalignment of incentive structures because the draft and star players and the playoffs and all these things are just as important as they are. So really, it's going to be a fascinating thing to watch with Luka if he gets close to this threshold, to see how he talks about it, how the Lakers talk about it, who gets the ultimate decision-making power here. Like, would they let Luka override, the Lakers training staff's preferences? So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't get to that point.
And also for anybody who had thought about Austin Reeves as, a fringy all NBA player, or somebody that had, if nothing else, been pacing himself towards all NBA consideration, he blew through that cushion a long time ago. So if it's not Luka, there will be no Laker.
Third team, Jake LaRavia, just because he's been one of the only players in the league who's played enough games.
Yeah. What'd you get for being the Iron Man? But if it's not Luka, this will be a season where no Laker ends up on the All NBA team.
So plenty more on this to come. We'll obviously be talking about getting ready for Thursday's last game before the All-Star break, and then lots of stuff to cover as the break gets going. But we can't leave, Andy, until we tell people about this.
The Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Indeed. And hiring, it's not just about finding someone willing to take a job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs, that's your move. And instead of just hoping that some incredible candidate magically appears in front of their laptop seeing your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting the job listing to people who actually fit the specific criteria, like skills and certifications and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't want just someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in the arena when the game is going on, at the stadium, in the arena, wherever you are, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, can be a pain in the butt. But this part has gotten really simple, and that's because of Game Time. It's a go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. I use the Game Time app all the time. In our family, we use it for soccer games, but you can use it for the NBA, you can use it for baseball, you can use it for hockey, whatever you want. And you can get tickets locked up within minutes. We all love seeing the seat locations. You know exactly what it's going to look like from the view from the seat before you get there. I like the all-in price. You see that up front. Zone deals. You can choose the section. Game Time picks the seat. You save some money. But the best thing about this, as for a parent, no surprises. You know exactly what it's going to cost. All that stuff's taken care of before you even leave the house. You can also use it for like events, like Disney on Ice, for example. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com.
And finally, Locked On Lakers brought to you by FanDuel, the official Winter Olympics. The games, they are here, and FanDuel is keeping you connected, locked in for these events that you only get to see on the biggest stage once every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel, it just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to that action. Even the most niche of niche sports, like curling matches, they're going to all of a sudden seem super intense, even though you don't understand what the hell is going on with curling or how it works or how to even judge who won. What you're going to be, though, is locked in, and FanDuel is going to keep the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish, whether it's a sport you understand or one that you're just learning on the fly. The Winter Games are on. There's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game.
All right. We will see everybody next time.